Thanks for
Yeah.
joining. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for reaching out. This is the first time this has ever happened, so I'm like, wow.
Yeah, it's awesome. I'm excited. This season's like pretty big. Got some big names, so
Okay,
I'm
cool.
stoked. I'm
Cool.
stoked. Yeah, for sure. So I started off with asking everyone, when did you know music was going to be a part of your life?
Oh boy. So there's kind of two answers to this. So my dad, growing up, my dad had just always had guitars around the house. He was a drummer specifically, and just like a bunch of like fun like 80s like hair metal bands, like local, like small little things. But he, as he got older, decided to learn like to play guitar. So we just had like guitars and things lying around the house. My dad can only play a handful of songs,
Yeah.
but he has a lot of instruments. So it was just kind of one of those things that I always thought was cool, but like there's a million like drawings I did when I was a little kid of like me playing guitar, or like me and my friends in a made up band, and things like that. So like I guess I could kind of say like I've always like was like kind of like flirting with the idea even
Yeah.
at like a young age, but it wasn't until 8th grade I had my first private instructor ever, after having like played by myself in my room for like 3 straight years, and done like middle school band. My private instructor, was like my first lesson with him ever. He kind of like looked at me and he's like, so like on a scale of like 1 to 10, how serious are you about this? And I told him 10. I'm very serious about this. So serious about this. And then he started like pulling up like videos on YouTube of like different like musical acts to kind of see like what I would like be interested in. Like he pulled up like a video of like Amy Winehouse, like some like a video of like Metallica playing live. And then he played this one video of Santana playing Woodstock live. And he, as like the bongos are going, it's this really long drawn out percussion intro to Santana's Soul Sacrifice. He starts telling me the story of Santana and that performance where he infamously took a bunch of acid and then was surprised, like got the time of his performance wrong, took a bunch of acid, and then they were like, hey, we know you're in the middle of a trip, but you got to go and play for this landmark cultural event.
Yeah.
And how he was like playing his guitar, and like he thinks his guitars. And I just remember my instructor like telling me that like story, and he's like, he thinks his guitar is a snake right now, but look at him play. Look at him going. That bass player had only been playing for 6 months. That could be you. You could be doing that right now. I know you could do that. And then he was like, Santana used to be a gang, but then they put down their weapons and picked up instruments. I don't know how true that is, but just like went on this whole spiel and like really sold me on it, where I was like, that's it. That's what I want to do.
Wow. So yeah, I want to join a gang and then I want to play music.
Exactly. I want to put down my weapons and pick up instruments.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
so I've definitely heard the Santana story, but I didn't know about the whole gang and stuff. So I'm gonna look it up because, I mean, I don't know.
It could be true. I never fact checked a word of anything that he said. I just immediately said, oh, that's a glass of Kool-Aid. I'm going to drink that right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if there is like some like discrepancies in what I was told specifically about the gang part.
Yeah.
But
yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So previous to your instructor though, like was bass your first instrument, or were you playing guitar?
So I tried to learn how to play drums for like a good like 2 months to be just like my dad. Didn't work out, didn't enjoy it, was like really kind of like, oh, this kind of sucks. Cause I mean, like starting out, like just like learning like rudiments and things like that, just wasn't grabbing Nicolette in 5th grade.
Yeah.
But all of my little friends between like 5th and 6th grade started playing guitar and like kind of started like chattering about like, we should start a band. We should start a band. And I was like, I can't play drums. What should I do? And they were like, none of us play bass. And there happened to be a bass in the house. So I kind of just like grabbed that one day and went up to my room and started watching YouTube tutorials for like songs that we all liked, which were just like super like little, like exactly what you think like nerdy like middle schoolers are listening to that are interested in like classic rock, real music.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I've like started playing in like somewhere between like, it was like that summer between like 5th and 6th grade.
Do you remember some of the songs you were learning around that time?
It was like, I think Brain Stew by Green Day, first song I ever learned. First thing I ever learned and played with other people and felt really cool about it. And Knocking on Heaven's Door by Bob Dylan, later covered by Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
Which was the version that they really wanted to do. I think that those were like the first 2 things I ever learned how to play. And It was just simple like G, D, C.
All day, yeah.
Yeah, 1, 4, 5 all day long. But I felt so cool.
Okay, so after you got with your I was gonna call him your professor, but when you took that lesson, like did you take lessons for a while? Like how long did that last?
So that lasted for like a handful of years, like into high school. I was like super involved in my like jazz bands in like high school, like ensembles and combos and stuff like that. And I was taking private lessons for a good like 2 years, I would say. And then I actually like moved states I'm originally from Gainesville, Florida, go Gators, and home of Dikembe, and then moved to South Carolina. And I was really lucky because I moved to Greenville, South Carolina, which has this fabulous arts magnet program high school. And I got that you have to audition for. And I auditioned at the last minute and was able to go and got to take a jazz focused, like 2-hour long like thing every single afternoon. It was like I got to take like music theory with an instructor, and then I had like an ensemble course class that went for like a few hours every afternoon, and that was really, really special. But I wasn't taking private lessons. Like I was taking private lessons on and off from like the instructor at that school at that time. So
nice. When did you want to like start experimenting with like live music?
Oh boy, pretty early on. That same group of friends that I learned how to play Brain Stew with, we started like a cute little band. My first band ever, the Peppermints. We played exactly one show, and that was the going away party for our guitar player because his dad got a job in Massachusetts. So he was moving. So we said we have to play one last show. I remember this girl who had like a huge crush on our friend who was like, I think like drumming in it or something. Like she like cried during our cover of Sweet Melissa by the Ahmed Brothers band. So we felt really cool about that. We were like, wow, look at us go.
Emotional.
But yeah. So that was like when like live music things started happening. And then I had like a bunch of countless school performances and things like that. And then when I got to college, I got involved with like small like DIY shows, local music shows, like touring and stuff like that.
That's awesome. And how was that experience like with the DIY scene?
Oh boy. I've had a really great time. I'm really thankful for the people I've met, and I really appreciate and definitely buy into the ethos of if you want to do something, you can just go and do it. Just do it. No one is going to stop you. There are like factors outside of our control, like financial or whatever. But at the end of the day, if you really want to go and do something, you can just go and do it. You can book your own tour. You can teach yourself how to play guitar or how to sing or whatever. Just what is stopping you other than yourself? And learning that lesson, I've been deeply appreciative of. The people that I've managed to meet from all over the country is like unbelievable. And my band, like I am more thankful for my bandmates than anything else in this world, honestly. So it's been great. I mean, like, I know that there's like a whole canned list of things that people like rag on when they're talking about DIY, the DIY community.
Yeah.
And, you know, thankfully I just keep to myself. So I don't really have much to like speak on with that, you know?
Yeah. I think you said it perfectly. Like, I totally agree. Just what's stopping you? Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
Like
that's
fear of other people judging me. Like if someone's going to be mean, then like, it's not something I'm going to invest much like time in. And, you know, I've put in the work. Like, I know that like anyone who's going to like start like at me, like they're just probably jealous.
Yeah.
Or intimidated or something.
Yeah, absolutely. So right now you're in Pool Kids. Are you jamming with anyone else?
I've got like a couple like baby stages of like fun things that I'm like tackling with friends right now that like neither have names nor like any clue where they're going. So like, and it sucks because I would love to like promote those things, but I just frankly do not. I am like I am involved in this one like strictly like internet based animals, what I'll call it, with my friend Jake Margot of Get Married, where Jake will write a song and say, hey, would you like to play bass on this? I'm sending this to my 5 other friends who he lives in Los Angeles. He's like, none of us live near each other, with the exception of like maybe 1 or 2 people. Would you get this done in the next 2 weeks and send it to me? And then it'll be put out. And I always say yes, because I am always down.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I too have met some like internet friends via Twitter and would like just do covers or whatever and just send them out. So do you have like your own recording stuff at home?
Barely. Really what I do is I tap Christine, the singer and guitar player of Pool Kids, also my roommate. I just tap her on the shoulder and I'm like, hey, can you take your laptop that functions unlike mine, and can you record some stuff in Pro Tools, which is, as far as I'm concerned, black magic. I don't understand how any of it works, and I've taken stabs, but I just don't think it might just be beyond me.
No, you can definitely get it.
I'm confident if I just like really put my mind to it. I just haven't yet. There's not like a flame under my butt to like get this done yet, so I just haven't. But yeah, so that's my recording setup, is Christine being merciful.
Nice. And shout out to Christine. I actually found Pool Kids because of a collab with Skatoon.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, shout out. I love that Ska Against Transphobia flag you've got back there.
Thank you.
Jer is an angel and a good friend. Love them.
Yeah, awesome. Super stoked for everything they do for the community. Like,
yeah,
it's awesome. So what did Pool Kids do like during this quarantine time?
Oh wow. So we've been like semi tight-lipped about it, but like half and half. Like we haven't like given any like previews really, but so Christina and I both live in Chicago, but Caden and Andy, the other 2 members of our band, both still live in Florida. Excuse me. And so because of that, and we've like for a very long time had like plans to like, all right, we're going to start grinding on our 2nd record. And we thought that we were going to be doing all of that work last summer, but COVID happened and we were all hard quarantined, could not meet up. And all of those plans, like touring, writing, everything that we had for 2020 were just out the window. So as things have eased up with 2021, we have been fortunate enough to like steal like a week here where like Caden and Andy can come up here to Chicago and write for like a week or 2 straight. And like where we are like in our the practice space that Christina and I share with a handful of other friends for like as many hours of the day possible that we can get. At one point we like were able to all be in Miami together for like, I want to say 5 days to work on like 3 specific songs. We were in North Carolina on Moonshine Mountain, working for a little while, for like another like 2 weeks there. So
that's my kid.
okay, love that. But yeah, so we've just like 2021 has really just been like focused on like writing for like week to 2 week long pockets. We're actually about to start recording. We've got all of these plans and all these things booked for the months of like August through September. And so we're going to take our sweet time getting this thing like fully formed in the studio. And then we are going, thankfully, it seems like God willing, it will be safe enough for touring and stuff to start back up this like late summer or like fall. And we fortunately have a tour with the bands Mom Jeans, Origami Angel, and Save Face coming up in November. So that's pretty much our whole 2021 is just recording this record in the next couple months and then doing that tour.
Yeah, that tour is it's gonna be sick. It's gonna be cool.
We're so excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
When you're recording, what's your process when you're recording bass? Are you really involved with the writing process, or do you like do they come up with ideas and you pin and bass afterwards? Like, what's the process for you?
Well, funny enough, this is really my first like band, like communal, like we're writing a record together experience. Like, quite frankly, like I've never even really like been inside of the studio with like the whole like intention of like we're recording all these songs. Like I've done DIY setups with like Christine and her laptop in our like at our dining room table, or like a friend's like office or something like that, but I've never been in a studio. And so this whole Cool Kids LP2 has been a huge learning experience for me. And the way that we are tackling it this time, because I am not on the first record, but for the second one, it is really like a mixture of Christine having written, like having chords and a vocal melody and lyrics ready to go, presenting it to the band, us like her either like giving like specific notes. So she's like, oh, I was thinking that the second guitar could do this specific thing, or if drums could do like this certain beat or like pattern or whatever you want to call it here. Sometimes Andy has literally just come in with like a guitar riff that we have then like built a whole song around. It's been extremely collaborative and a lot of fun. I will say the bulk of the work is definitely being done by Christine because she's our principal songwriter, but I've like pitched in with like writing some lyrics, and like we like everything that we have written, we pitch to the group and then talk about as a group, and pick over and obsess over and figure out as a unit. And that's been really interesting, and is definitely like we've all like learned like how like to communicate very like directly, effectively, and honestly. And that's actually been a really like a skill that I definitely did not really like have before.
I think that's super important too, because I felt like also in the past few years I've been in bands and I'm just like, yeah, that sounds cool and whatever, like let's get a song done, but not always fully maybe like liking the riff or whatever it might be. I think it's super important to be honest and transparent, like what you're saying. And I don't know, it just then it becomes like a true collaborative effort in a song y'all all put together.
That, and like I feel like ultimately like it's going to help me become a better player, because like and this is a thing that like I've 100% been guilty of in the past, but like when I've like written like parts for songs that we were playing only live and not necessarily recording, I haven't always thought about like writing around like servicing the band and making the band look better, like the best it possibly can be, specifically like what's happening with the guitars, or like what's happening with vocally at one point. Is me playing this like really cool flashy thing I came up in my bedroom, like, is it distracting from what's happening, everything else around here? Like, the bass as an instrument really is like more of like a linebacker in a metaphorical, like musical sense than anything. Like, we are the foundation that everyone else builds up everything on. And like, I don't know, there's no point for me to be like a super flashy, all flash, no substance sort of player. And like this like whole like process with like writing this album and all of that, and like being really intentional with everything from like note choice, delivery, dynamics, and all of that has like been really cool. Like, it's been fun to like go back to kind of square one again with a lot of this stuff. So
yeah, that's super exciting. It's going to be really exciting to hear. So I'm super stoked for that. What kind of bass are you using?
Oh, right now I really mainly use a Fender jazz bass. I was really lucky, and Jason Klein of Fender Guitars was able to hook me up with both a jazz bass and a precision bass. I tend to favor the jazz bass because the neck is slimmer. I have small hands. It's kind of just like what I'm used to. But I have found myself using the precision bass a lot more, and it is the industry standard, and I think it is for a reason.
Yeah.
But yeah. So that's what I've been doing.
That's really cool. Do you have any like specific amp choices, anything like that?
Not particularly. I've always relied on the kindness of my friends who are much more interested in gear than I am, in giving me direction and pointers on like, hey, maybe have you considered this amp, and like cabinet combo, and so on and so forth. Because I don't, that's paying attention to like tone, specifically tone, is not something I was really giving like as much thought as I probably should have been until like the last like 3-4 years, I want to say. And now I'm having this whole crisis where I'm like, I don't know what exactly I want to sound like, but I don't like the way I sound now. Just an age-old dilemma, I'm sure. So I don't really have like a specific like setup right now. I've been bouncing between like I believe it is a TC electronic 410 that I kind of got out of desperation because my old cab blew a speaker, and this is just what I could find on Craigslist. And I was using a GK 1000 head, but I'm not in like, it's a good like Swiss Army knife. Like, you can kind of like make it sound good for like whatever you happen to be playing, whatever genre. But I don't know if that's necessarily like what I'm interested in. I've been flirting with the idea of a dark glass head for like a while now. I'm also interested in the Aguilar tone hammer, but I just don't know. It's all above, it's beyond me, all of it. I'm figuring it out still.
Yeah, and that's totally okay. You're probably gonna go through so many more amps. And
exactly. That's the other thing, is everyone I've talked to is like, yeah, you find one, you think it's the perfect one, and then after like about a month it wears off and you're like, all right, but it doesn't sound the way it sounds in my head. How can I get that? And then you moved on to the next thing. It's just, the goalpost is just always moving.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talked about your tour coming up, and the LP2 coming up. Is there any like long-term goals that you have, or Pool Kids, or any of your projects have?
With Pool Kids, at least, it is really just to like put all of our energy and focus into this next record, and like really, really, really try to make something that we are proud of, and that we think like just like is something that we are going to be proud of, like for years to come is like what we're really trying to accomplish. And we're really excited about, but that's really been our main focus. Like 2022 is kind of open for us. We're not really sure exactly all that we're going to be doing. And that's cool. And then other than that, I've got a couple more of songs coming out with my friend Jake Margot that I don't have any like details on just yet, but soon. It will be soon. And then, yeah, just kind of like developing like these like side things I've got going with a couple friends right now. Excuse me again, drinking LaCroix. Excited to see where those go. And, you know, like long term, I just want to play more shows. Just do some more touring and just get back at it is really.
Yeah. I mean,
my baseline goal.
The life.
Yeah, exactly.
So where can people listen to Pool Kids or find out more about you?
Oh boy. So Pool Kids is on every social media imaginable, every streaming platform imaginable. We are on Bandcamp, Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube Music, all of those things. All of our social media handles are at Pool Kids or Pool Kids Band. If you're interested in little old me, it's at Nicolette _ Sara, Sara on all. I think I only use like Instagram and Twitter really. That is a thing. Oh, we're on TikTok. Pool Kids is on TikTok. Come hang out on TikTok.
Yeah.
The most magical place on earth.
So
that's how anyone can keep up with me and what I'm doing.
Just a side note about TikTok. How do you feel about TikTok? Out of curiosity.
Oh boy. It is fascinating to watch a social media platform take off in the way that it has over the course of the last few years. Like, I was kind of young and missed the whole MySpace thing, but I feel like there's a lot of parallels to be drawn between like what MySpace did for a lot of bands and what TikTok is currently doing for a lot of bands. I love that I have found so many interesting artists and have seen so many artists like be able to really like take off and like use it as like a springboard into like bigger and better things that they might have not necessarily had if like they hadn't stumbled, like TikTok hadn't taken off in the way that it had. Like at the same time, we are all but slaves to the algorithm. And I feel like it's definitely given me brain worms a little bit. And I like Christine and I have teamed up and made like goofy videos like that aren't necessarily about like the music we make or the fact that we are musicians. And then we feel like we have to keep making them. And then we question, it's like, is this really doing anything to help us? Are we just making videos for the sake of making videos? Is this actually like doing anything is this anything other than like sometimes like an ego boost in a way? Because there are eyeballs on you. There's a million things that run through my head with it. And I am also afraid of phones in general. And I think social media has been built in a way that it is addictive and has altered the chemistry of all of our brains in a way that the consequences of which we haven't seen fully play out. It's going to be wild to see what's like over the next 15 years. So I appreciate TikTok. We have definitely reaped some of the benefits from it. I am weary of it. But right now it's really fun.
Yeah.
So right. That's boiled down. That's my thoughts on that.
Yeah, that was definitely way deeper than I was.
You expected. Oh, I'm sure.
It's all good.
This is just what runs through my silly little head all day.
It's all good. I appreciate that. Well, I definitely appreciate the time you took to talk to me. I'm stoked.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me on. I've never done anything like this. And thank you for reaching out and thinking of me. It means a lot.
Yeah, of course. I'm stoked for your tour, stoked for the album, and I will catch up with you. And I just hope you have a good night.
Yeah, for sure. You too.
All right. Thanks so much.
Have a good one.
You
Bye-bye.
too. Bye.